Welcome to Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. So, it was a very good reading week last week. Before we get into that, welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you find something you enjoy. There's a bunch of interesting videos coming up. They're not nearly as long as the one I released on Friday. There's a shelf spotlight coming up. There's my book on haul. There's my books for June. There's a couple other ones, and they've all flown right out of my head. That's what happens when my first cup of coffee is in my hand and I haven't yet had a sip. So, I had a very good reading week last week. I did not DNF a single book, and I'm very happy about that. So, what did I read? So, first let's talk about my Kindle read. That would be Marilla of Green Gables by Sarah McCoy. And this is historical fiction. It tells the story of Marilla before Anne. I finished this Thursday or Friday. It's now Monday morning. I am still very conflicted about this book. I have reviewed it. It's on my blog. As always, linked down below. My blog post was kind of all over the place, and I still feel that way about this book. I had read about 30% and set it aside 2 to 3 weeks ago. I hadn't thought about it since. And I wasn't sure if I was going to DNF it. I wasn't sure if I was going to pick it back up. But I picked it back up this week. I finished it. And I'm still just conflicted. The first third of the book is Marilla as a younger child, and she is not at all likable. She is not relatable. At least she wasn't for me. That may not be true for everybody, but for me, not relatable, not... She was very isolated and insular, and I just flat out didn't like her, and that's why I set the book aside at 30%. I could not reconcile the Marilla in my head with the Marilla in the book. So I picked it back up. I finished it, and it takes you through Marilla in her 40s. Unlike the Gone with the Wind books, Scarlet, Rhett Butler's People, and Ruth's Journey, there is no indication in the book itself, author's notes, acknowledgments, that it was written with the approval and blessing of the Ellen Montgomery estate. So I know that is part of the reason why I feel so conflicted about this book. And also, I'm conflicted because I admittedly haven't read Anne in decades. But I loved Anne as a child. I loved Anne as a child. And I don't remember Marilla being so miserable and unrelatably bitter, and so as you can tell, I'm still conflicted about this book. Do I think it is for every reader? No, I do not. I wouldn't even come close to that. Do I think other people will enjoy it? It's possible. Not everybody likes my reading taste. I don't like everybody else's reading taste, so don't just take my word for it. But yeah, okay, I'm done. So, what have I read in physical? So, as you know, this time last week, I was almost finished with Masquerade at Middlecrest Abbey by Abigail Wilson. I have finished this. I did finish it Monday right after I finished filming and editing. I love this book. I truly loved this book. It is not in a series. However, I did learn that it is related to her back catalog. They're all kind of characters in different time periods in the same social circle and family structure, and I cannot wait to read the rest of them. In my video last week, I said this was faith adjacent. There is more faith in the last half than there is in the first half, so I would feel comfortable calling this Christian historical fiction romance by the end of the book. If you are looking for a faith-heavy historical romance, this is not for you. If you are looking for a gentle, everyday expression of faith, then this will be right up your alley. I enjoyed it immensely. I will read more from Abigail Wilson. I will not hesitate. The entire book was just well done and fun. Easy recommendation. Just easy. And then I read The Broken Hearts Bakery by Carla Laureano. Still one of my favorite covers of the year. Not going to talk about this one too much because it will get its own video after book club. So that video will release on July 29th. Book club is the 28th. I will say that this is truly faith adjacent versus being a Christian romance. I will talk about it more in the video, but if you are looking for romance with faith content, this is not for you. However, it does directly relate to Book Lover Amanda's video, which I will link down below, in which she talks about the impact of unrealistic secular romances on the younger generation. This book is directly related to that video, and I understand now why God wanted me to read this book when I did. So, the last book I read this week was 100% an impulse pickup on Amazon Prime Day. I was going to wait for it to come out in paperback to match my paperback version of Recorder, which is up above, but I picked up Aberration by Cathy McCrumb. This is Christian science fiction. It is book 2 in the Children of the Consortium series. I am now eagerly drumming my fingernails, awaiting the release of book 3, Guardian, later this year, because, well, cliffhangers. As you all know, I loved Recorder. It is tied for my book of the year. Do not let the fact that these are science fiction put you off. It isn't, don't think Star Trek, Star Wars, space opera. It's none of that kind of science fiction. It isn't Dune science fiction with its political intrigue. They are both at their heart. These are books about humanity and relationships and what does it mean to be human. Aberration is no different. First of all, the cover is stunning. It's stunning. And I made an Instagram post about this yesterday, but if you are looking for a heroine that truly defines what it means to be selfless, this is the book for you. I'm not truly selfless. She So Recorder still hasn't named herself, so she's called a couple of things in the book. Zeta, Izzy. I will go with Izzy because it's more human than Zeta. She is selfless, even though by doing the selfless thing, she puts herself at great risk, and she understands the nature and extent of the risk in which she is placing herself. I loved this book. Did I love it as much as Recorder? No, but that is because Recorder blew my socks off. Blew my socks off into the next state. And I live in Texas, so that's quite a distance. And Aberration is just as good as Recorder, but the questions posed aren't quite as novel because you know they already exist. And that is the only reason it's not neck and neck with Recorder. No, don't get me wrong. It will still make the top reads of the year. There's no question about that. It was and is a fantastic read. Children's Consortium series is something you should read. It isn't hard science fiction. You don't need science facts to, delve into the series. You don't need to have a science brain because I'll be perfectly honest, I don't have one of those. And it is still enjoyable because it's a story about humans. It's a story about relationships and what we do for others and what risks are we willing to take for those we love, even if we don't yet know how or what love is. Cathy McCrumb, this is her sophomore novel. It doesn't suffer from sophomore novel syndrome, especially in a series. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. The only reason I didn't finish it on Saturday when I picked it up is because, I'm an adult and I needed to go to bed eventually. I finished it yesterday and day was coming into the dogs. Mom's got that leaky eye thing going on again. This book is fantastic. I am so blessed that I found Cathy McCrumb. That's really all I can say. So that brings me to what am I going to read this week? I'm going to finish Cross the Blue by Carrie Taransky. I've started this. I got distracted with other wonderful books last week. So this week, it will be this one for sure. And then for sure, it will be Reunion Beach. Fits one of my 2023 reading prompt challenges. I will link that video down below. I can read I can read a short story or two a day, and then it'll be done, and I can check that off my list. And it's a library book, and it can be returned. And then it's a toss-up between Mark Maker by Mary Jessica Woods, which again is Catholic science fiction, or Jane and the Unpleasantness at Scargrave Manor by Stephanie Barron. This is the first book in the Jane Austen mystery series. Learned over the weekend that the 15th book in the series is coming out or has just released, and it will be the final book in the series. And, you know, Jane Austen July, so I should pick this up and finish it. But, you know, to be honest, my heart is telling me to go read this and read this now. I'm also looking forward to my arc of Adrift, whenever that gets released here shortly. So, my reading cup runneth over, and I have no complaints. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. I look forward to your comments. And I hope you find something to read. I hope you had a great reading week and have a good reading week upcoming. And I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.